friends, we are not in my garden. We have landed in London, and my very first stop here is the Queen Elizabeth II Memorial Garden. It is brand new, spanking open to the public. And this is a really, really fascinating garden on so many different levels. And so I want to take you through, I want to show you my favorite little bits, and let's have a nice garden stroll. Starting from the vista from this gorgeous tower in the center, they have zoned this so intricately, and it really is a study in how different plants respond to different site conditions. But I want to start right here at the beginning, down there at the entrance where you see this incredible reflecting pond and the reused pergola. One of the items I was most excited to see was this incredible pergola structure, and I think it is so brilliant for a couple of different reasons. First, it sets a beautiful backdrop. It is a great anchor at the beginning of this garden. There's beautiful reflective seating that go all the way down in the softest wood you have ever felt. But then also, this has been made from it's a reclaimed material from the glass houses that once stood here. So this entire area used to be covered in glass houses, and they've reused some of the steel from that in the construction of this incredible pergola. And just taking a moment for the plants that they've selected here, I feel like they have leaned into heavy hitters in the UK landscape. First of all, we've got incredible Brunnera, tassel ferns. The end pillars are anchored with, of course, wisteria. It's such a classic. And then each one also of these front-facing pillars has gorgeous clematis. And this is one item about clematis that I don't know if we talk about enough, but the seed heads. I mean, this is such beautiful texture, and it is one of those items that I feel like ages so gracefully. Next up, we have this incredible pond. And what I love about this so much is it's the ending point of this pathway that cuts straight down the middle of the garden that was made to represent the Queen's kind of unwavering service. But from a botanical perspective, what they've done here at the edges of this pond are super interesting. I'm going to actually take you over here because essentially they've created the deep reservoir below. And then they've built in a shelf, if you can see it right there, where they start introducing water irises and other items that love to have their wet feet. This actually reminds me a lot of the design work that Dan Pearson has done at his own personal residence. And then even down to the different selections of bulbs. You can see them just coming into flower here. It's the blue bulb that is straight ahead. Let me see if I can find another one. And I believe I saw a few white ones emerging as well. Here we go. This little sweet purple bulb right here, this is a Camassia. And it's really fun to see this over here in London because this is a bulb that is very much native to our region and is an iconic kind of piece of horticulture from the Northwest. And so my suspicion, here's my suspicion. My suspicion is that the shelf that you see right there, that water level actually somewhat continues all the way up here because a lot of these plants that are planted here are plants that enjoy wet feet. I mean, I've even seen some dogwoods through here. And again, and some astilbe, of course, gorgeous. But again, these are items that are super fun for me to see in this application because they are so evocative of the Pacific Northwest landscape. Now I need to take a moment for this wood bench because Brian was refusing to exit his seat. This is absolutely incredible. I need to figure out what type of wood this is, but each one is perfectly sculpted and such a beautiful resting point surrounding not only the pond, but the garden itself. Across from the pond, you have this amazing, very arid, almost Mediterranean style planting. A lot of these are going to be evergreen. And again, we're seeing a garden truly in its infancy, which I think is really important because not every garden looks great from the get-go. This one looks fabulous, but you can this is just barely the tip of the iceberg in terms of how this will look as it comes into its fullest incarnation of what it's meant to be. Now, in through here, we're seeing amazing selections of Alliums. I have incredible salvias in through here. And then also, I will tell you, if any of you out there have grown Alliums and your foliage withers and dies as or before the plant is blooming, you are not alone. This is very, very normal. And in fact, I am seeing some Alliums where the foliage came up and it didn't flower. So secretly, that's actually making me feel very pleased with myself because I had the same thing happen in my garden. And if you've never seen Camassia bloom, oh, it is so wonderful. It is such a delightful sense of place. And honestly, this is one bulb that I haven't been able to plant in my garden, and I wish I could because I have such sandy soils. I just don't think it would survive. And just to give you a little vista here. Oh, this is so gorgeous. And again, the use of wood throughout this garden is sensational. Also, I feel like we need to take a whole minute to discuss their hard surface selections. But look at this gorgeous pond, all of the foliage just filling in with these water plants. This is truly a garden in its infancy, and what a spectacular thing that we get to see it so early and then come back and enjoy it and see what it looks like in a few years' time. Now, going around the garden, we've already talked about this beautiful, straightforward pathway that kind of represents her service to the country. But what I will tell you is they have also created these incredible circuitous paths that wind in and out, and they're made to represent her life as a mother, as a wife, the complexity of everything that she was holding at the same time. And I feel like all of us can relate to that on so many levels because life is complex and we do have to wear so many different hats. And so to weave both of those things together, I think is just such a human thing to include in this garden. And down there is the pond where we just were. And as you circle back on this incredibly straight avenue that was kind of created to be symbolic of her reign, you end at another beautiful destination for reflection. And I love that they've bookended this garden with these moments where you can sit, you can reflect. And what's so funny is at the other end, it's very square. It's very formal. You have the pergola. And down here, you have this incredibly rounded area where you get to reflect on this gorgeous tree right in the middle. Now, one thing I haven't touched on is actually the soil conditions here. Now, this is also super interesting. The UK has done a beautiful job of thinking in terms of a climate resilient garden. Also, what are we doing with all of our natural resources? And so what they've done is they've taken all of the concrete that was on site and ground it up and mixed it into the native clay soil. And what I think is so fascinating is I almost wish I had a shovel. Okay, let's gardener to gardener here. I wish I had a shovel. I want to dig down in this soil to actually get my hands on it, to see what this is like. Because when I was doing some research beforehand, I was really suspicious. What does ground concrete even look like? How does it mix into the soil? Part of me thinks it might actually create incredible soil because London is known for having heavy clay, and that might help break it all up. So, gosh, I wish I had a shovel. Brian is just going to make fun of me for the next hour because you guys, there's my girl, Amsonia. Oh, Amsonia is so good. Gorgeous Baptisia. You know I love a smoke bush. Oh my gosh. Look at this. I love that they have featured Amsonia so heavily in this one band. It is so fantastic because I bet the fall foliage out here is going to be sensational. You know, the other thing that I was noticing about this garden and I was doing some reading about is they have worked really hard to select an incredible tree story here. So they have gone through and selected some of the late Queen's favorite trees. She was a huge fan of flowering trees, loved a magnolia. And so to have this emphasis is absolutely incredible. I think I want to take you guys back here because, again, a nice little water reservoir there. Absolutely gorgeous. And there is a bit of a meadowscape. So they have essentially three different pathway materials. The primary pathway is a cut stone. We saw it in the overlook at the pond. The secondary pathway, you can see it here to the right, but it is a sort of concrete that you can see a lot of rock in. It kind of reminds me a bit of terrazzo. Super beautiful. And then we are currently on what I would consider a tertiary pathway. And this tertiary pathway has incredible crushed gravel. And so I think by dividing these out, it creates a sense of journey for anyone who visits. And it also invites you to reflect a little bit more on how we're playing within this space. And also kind of like you can even follow each path as it unfolds. So you can start on the primary, go on to the secondary, and then come out onto the tertiary. Oh my gosh. And what's so funny is on those primary pathways where you had these beautiful sculpted benches, we now have this incredible piece of sculpture turned bench here. Love this. And then even back here, this is the other thing that I have read a lot about and am seeing firsthand is they have created a beautiful emphasis on reflection, sitting still, having a moment, and creating vistas all throughout the landscape for you to enjoy. Coming back on to this secondary pathway, this is the one that I was describing as being almost a terrazzo, a living terrazzo. You get so much color coming through here. And they've used a lot of these buff colored stones, which kind of reflects the landscape around it. Oh, and a little wandering minstrel, just to keep it interesting. Oh my goodness, coming back this way, it's so beautiful. I'm going to take you to the left here for just a moment before we end at the tower. But as you go to the left here, one thing that they were trying to incorporate is a sense of the different pathways that were around the gardens that the Queen would kind of escape to as a sort of moment to step out of her role as Queen, mother, wife, all the things. And so they've created a sort of, as I like to call it, a sneaky squirrel pathway that takes you into a slightly wooded experience. Okay, we're almost here. And then do you love that they are so consistent with their benches? Here we are on the kind of tertiary pathway. And again, using a bit more of a rough bench, not as smooth as those first ones that we see on the primary pathways. Okay, we have finally made it to the pathway. And what's really cool is I will leave a link to the website where I found a complete list. I'm loving these dark geraniums. But what's really amazing is I love that they have a complete plant list online that anyone can reference. And then they also have it divided so you can see the bulbs that they use, the perennials, the different grasses, the trees, the shrubs. I think it is so genius because that is one of the things about touring gardens. If you don't have a lot of plant knowledge, trying to locate a plant is darn near impossible. So it's very, very cool that you can take a look at the whole plant list, and every single plant that was installed in this garden is somehow related to her. So just another special way of driving home this story. I did want to touch on all of the hardscape used here. This incredible stone, what I love about this usage is that it shows these core marks of how they're splitting the faces. And this is something that if you go to a reputable stone quarry, you can actually purchase stones like this. And they add this kind of mishmash of the natural world as well as man-made production into any landscape that you are working on, which is so very cool. And then, of course, looking down here, we have this incredible stone. It almost looks like a blue stone mixed here with, again, a very man-made material. And then as we head towards the tower area, this is where, again, material usage is so fascinating. Starting down here at the base of these stairs, I know it's such a silly thing to zoom in on, but this is an incredible threshold sort of transition strip into a usage of natural materials. And then we have incredible dimensional stone coming in with that gorgeous split face, and then mixing it up with the crushed, which to me, honestly, walking on crushed surfaces is such a sensory experience. But what I love that they've done here, and this is something that I am going to stick in my little brain here, I love that they have created a threshold of a solid stone. So this is actually something you can totally take back to your own garden because these dimensional steps are very readily available. But I have never thought of including a transition threshold. Typically, I put them right down onto whatever surface I'm using for a patio or pathway space. Isn't this interesting? I love that the brick has started here, building into a wall, and then ultimately extending up towards this central tower. And looking from where we just were, this mosaic of stone surfaces, the old cobble, I mean, this is spectacularly done. And this is one of those items that gives it such an artistic and handmade quality. And then this water tower. You guys, this is where we started the video. Just so fantastic. And what's really cool is that it is meant to draw in a lot of different bird species as well as bats, which, you guys, we're going to Chelsea this week, and there will be a garden dedicated to bats, and I'm so excited to see it. So friends, moral of the story is, if you only have an hour to spend and you want to see an incredible garden, this is not one to miss. Not only is it totally accessible, beautiful pathways, but it's short enough where if maybe you have a partner who doesn't enjoy gardens as much as you do, you still get your garden fix, and maybe they can camp out in that little world's most adorable coffee shop and wait for you to enjoy the gardens, see everything you want to see, and you both have had an incredible afternoon. Okay, friends, I'm going to see you in the next one. And in the meantime, as always, say hello to your garden for me.